Hey, it's Ashley here. I want to talk to you about why I do what I do and how we do it. So, to begin, I need to give you a little bit of background on myself because my own story has quite a lot to do with why I am where I am, why we do what I do. At age 13, I was raped 3 times by my then boyfriend. I was then sexually assaulted at age 19 by a friend that I thought I could trust. Through these experiences and a whole lot of other stuff that happened, I became really unwell and I was eventually diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder with bipolar features. I suddenly had to somehow navigate the mental health system, our medical system, and the legal system. They're all discussions for another day, but when you're going through the roller coaster of PTSD, depression, anything like that, it is a very complex thing to navigate, even if you're fully normal and functional. Anyway, the reason I do what I do is because I carried a lot of guilt and shame and embarrassment about what had happened to me for a really long time. I didn't want anyone to know, and I went to great lengths to not tell anyone or to not ever talk about it, ever. Um, However, my mind, my unconscious mind, had other ideas and decided that now was exactly the right time for me to deal with it, and I had to do it. Um, and going through what I went through when I was unwell, I can tell you that I know how deep the despair and the shame and the guilt will take you. For me, it took me to the brink of suicide and back. So I know exactly how fragile that point is for a lot of women. I can speak from experience. It's not something that is my proudest moment, but I think it is the proudest point at which I can turn around and say, I've been there and I chose to come back and I chose to stay and I chose to heal. I made that conscious decision and it's the bravest decision that I ever made. Healing wasn't easy. I quickly realized after a few months that my doctor wanted to treat me as a physical body. My psychologist wanted to treat me as a mental body, and no one wanted to treat my spiritual body and my emotional body. So I had to start thinking about myself when I had moments of clarity. Anyone who's ever had depression or is going through it or knows someone who does will know that quite often the mind goes really foggy and it's really hard to think. I had a lot of that for a really long time, so it took me a really long time to get to this point where I could actually string these thoughts together. Like, I'm talking months. I realized I had to start looking at myself as a whole being that needed well-being. I couldn't keep myself separate. I couldn't have my physical body here, emotional body here, and spiritual body there. It wasn't going to work because each had an impact on the other. My psychology determined my physiology, which determined my psychology, which determined my emotional state, which determined my physical body, which determined my mental body. Anyway, you see how the loop circles around. So I realized that I had to really work at all of me as a whole. And that meant I had to learn how to look after myself in a whole new way. I had to learn to heal in a whole new way. I had to deal with issues I didn't think I could deal with. For a really long time, I couldn't hold hands with any male. I couldn't be near another male. Being near another male was really upsetting for me. I was so sick that my partner had to dress me, feed me, and bathe me, and it's not an exaggeration. I'm not saying that to try and get your sympathy, but that's the reality of what it was. He had to do these things so that I could be, have food and stuff like that. During my journey, I was placed on medication. It took me a long time to get off it, and I came off it by accident because I was sick with gastro. I don't recommend you do it that way at all. Not advisable. I've never been sicker in my life. Because of what I went through, I chose to forgive what had happened to me And for me, choosing forgiveness didn't mean saying that what you did to me was okay. What it meant to me was what you did to me was not okay. But I no longer choose to carry such horrible emotions about it within me anymore. What happened to me was horrible and it was unfortunate, but I choose not to carry anger and hurt and sadness, embarrassment, shame, guilt within me because they destroy me. They eat away at me, and I nearly destroyed myself over it. And that was a humongous, humongous leap in healing for me. Healing is not something that happens overnight. It's also not something that happens and then that's it, it's done. Healing is an ongoing process, and I've been healing now for 3 years, sorry. I have been healing from this. It's an ongoing process because everything pops up in different ways. And for me, trust was a huge one. I had to learn how to trust people again, to learn how to trust men again, to learn how to trust my partner. And by the way, any man, any partner of someone who has been through this, you are an incredibly brave and resilient person, and you need a pat on the back. It takes an emotional toll on both of you to go through this together. The decision to heal forces you to look at who you are. It's not always pleasant. Sometimes you discover things about yourself you may not always like, or you might not be sure of. I discovered an awful lot about myself, and I felt like it was forced upon me by myself, which I didn't like. But I learned to embrace it, and I learned to take it in my stride. And right now, at this point in my life, I look back and I know that I've come so far. And I know that without the help of other people, I wouldn't be where I am right now. As it stands, my mission is to stop any woman or any child from going through what I went through for as long as I did. I want to bring you onto your path of healing. I want to get you started. I want the world to see the amazing things that you can do. Because you can. Just because something happened to you doesn't mean it needs to define what you're capable of in this life. You're still capable of amazing things. We're women. We can do amazing things. Every month our body prepares itself to have a child without us even having a conscious thought of it. How amazing is that? The fact that we have the capability to bring new life into this world. And we can choose whether or not we want to. Isn't that amazing? The other part to this is I have really young sisters, and I don't want them to have to go through what I did, because I know the statistic is 1 in 3 women, girls, 1 in 3 females are going to experience sexual assault or abuse, anything under that umbrella, from harassment to whatever. 1 in 3. Think about how many women are in your family, how many females are in your family, how many sisters do you have, how many aunties and cousins and grandparents, your mom, your friends. What about your co-workers? What about the kids you go to school with? I don't know about you, but I went to a school where there was nearly 1,000 people. Well, sorry, there were over 1,200 kids in my school. About half of those are girls. We're talking about hundreds of kids and people developing that are going to have these experiences and trying to navigate the system, trying to navigate anything, talking about the decision to heal, making that choice, owning it, rocking it, kicking butt. I want to help you on your journey. I want to get you started, and I want to see your light shine so bright. You can do it. I've done it and I'm here. And right now, I'm planning my dream wedding. And I'm planning my future with my fiance. And I couldn't be happier. And I can't wait to start a family. And I can't wait for all the good things that are coming to us. The statistic of 1 in 3 is way too high. Way too high. And it's not acceptable. And it's my mission to change that statistic. My name is Ashley. And if you want to get in touch and talk about your path to healing, you can find me at www.loveandsmilesfun.com, or you can phone me or text me on 0423 141 207. You don't need to be ashamed. It wasn't your fault. Keep smiling, keep your head up, and get in touch if you need it. Ciao.